Hello, my name is Jonathan Leith, and I am excited to be a part of the Ignite Summit conference this year. I know this is virtual, so we've had to shift because of the pandemic, but I tell you, it doesn't matter how you're watching this or where you're watching it, I believe that your life will be impacted because of what I'm going to be sharing today. I want to give a shout out to Reverend Nikki Brown. Thank you for allowing me to be the only male on the virtual discussion regarding this conference, and I'm honored. I don't take this lightly, and I am just believing God that I'll have something to share and impart to the ladies, and maybe some guys who are listening to this conference. I also want to just give a shout out to all the people who are on the panel. There's some phenomenal people that will be bringing some great information, and so you are in for a treat. Well, a little bit about me. I am the co-pastor of Converge Church. We're located in Morristown, New Jersey. I am a father, been married for 24 years. I have 4 children, and I'm in that place in life where, there's the bills are starting to come due because everybody's going to college, but also believing God that the best days are ahead of me, and I believe they're ahead of you as well. I had the opportunity over 2 years ago to do something I've been wanting to do, and maybe some of you can relate. I wanted to write a book, and so I was able to write my first book. This book is called Yolo, You Only Lead One. That's what YOLO means. You only lead one. 8 principles for leading yourself before you lead others. How many of you know that everybody wants to lead you, but they don't know how to lead themselves? I'm going to be talking about some of the concepts in this book in my session today. And speaking of authors, my wife, Camille, wrote her children's book, and I would really love for you to support her. It's a children's book, and it's called Jonathan Rhymes. It's a very phenomenal book. It's been accepted in a lot of the school districts. They're going to be in some of the required reading grades for some of the lower grade schools, so I think it's just a great opportunity to buy some books and share it with your family, share it with your school. It's really going to bless you. So I want to spend some time just talking about a topic that I really believe is going to be beneficial for you. And my topic today is going to be the 7 people that every person needs in their life. The 7 people that everybody needs in their life. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the women who are watching this. I pray that it would ignite in them a desire to pursue you with everything that they have. God, I pray that through this discussion that they would pick up nuggets, put them into place right now so that they can be all that you've called them to be. We bless you and we honor you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, let's jump right in. The 7 people that everybody needs in your life. I want to start with this thesis statement, and this is the statement that you cannot lead yourself by yourself. You cannot lead yourself by yourself. It's impossible for you to lead at the level that you are supposed to lead if you don't have people around you. Oh, you got some people who are foundational. You're going to need them no matter how far you go in life. And then there are some people that God puts in your life for a reason and for a season. And our job, your job, is to find out why that person is here. God, why is this person in my life? And then you can take advantage of that relationship to make you the person that God has called you to be. As a leadership researcher, and I'm actually pursuing my doctorate in leadership, strategic leadership, I am able to really learn about a lot of leaders and to learn about the different leadership traits that are successful and some that are not successful when it comes to sort of being the leader that God has called you to be and empowering others. There was this idea that leaders had certain traits, and if you were born with these traits, then you could be a leader. They call that the great man theory. You had these qualities. You were 6 foot tall or over 6 foot tall. You had this pedigree. You grew up on this side of the tracks, and so that made you a leader. And for the longest time, we believed that leaders were born. But then the research started coming out to say, no, leaders aren't born. there are leaders that arise to the occasion. And then we got into the term of situational leadership. These leaders, they rise to the occasion when the occasion calls for it. Dr. Martin Luther King is one of the best examples of a situational leader. There was a situation, and he had to lead, so he came on the scene in prominence. One of the significant things about the church that I pastor and where we pastor, this is interesting. Less than a mile from where I'm standing right now, Dr. Martin Luther King, back in the 50s, had an incident in Maple Shade, which is right beside Morristown. It was that incident that was the instigation for him to get involved with the civil rights movement. That blew me away when I realized that there's a plaque actually right here, about a mile from where I'm standing, that commemorates Dr. King and what he's done. But it all started, him getting involved was because of an incident that happened next door. Isn't that amazing? You know, there are situational leaders. And then as research went further, they realized that there were certain traits that could be taught. There were behaviors that could be taught. So if your leadership level is not at the level where you want it to be, there are things you can do. You can take classes. You can go to these conferences. You can get a coach. You can get a mentor. You can get all these different things, and they can help you develop your leadership ability, or that leader inside of you. So the first premise or the thesis statement is you can't lead yourself by yourself. But here's the other thesis statement too. It is impossible to lead others unless you know how to lead yourself. Leadership is the process of influencing a group or individuals to achieve a task or a goal. That's what leadership is. Leadership is the process of using influence to achieve a goal, to have individuals or a person or a group to accomplish a task. And so when we can see ourselves as leaders, the first leader that we need to impact is ourselves. That's the first person that we really need to connect with. The mindsets of leaders. There's I call it the old leadership model. This is the guy or the girl who expects everything to happen for them. If you notice, the arrows are pointing toward the individual. See, this person, this old leadership model requires immediate reward when a task is completed. You ever ask someone to do something, and as soon as they finish it, they want you to reward them right there? Like, they can't wait. They got to get it right now. This person, they need constant reminders until the job is finished. They will get you what you need, so they're able to be effective, but it's like, man, there's no vested interest. It's all about them. These individuals are motivated. Motivated, meaning there's a motive for what they are doing, and that motive is usually some external stimulus that they're looking for, whether it's reward or it's a punishment. Do you know that punishment is a great motivator? My mom used it on me. She would say, listen, I'm going to work now, but when I get home, if this house isn't clean, I'm whipping everybody in the house. That was a good motivator. But guess what? She had to keep saying that if she wanted us to clean the house. But that's the way a lot of us are. We're leaders who, here's what we do. We listen to WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's the kind of leader that many of us are. But I'm going to tell you, there's another type of leader that's coming on the scene, and I believe that you are this type of person. I call this the Yolo leadership model, or the Yolo leader model. See, this person, they can wait for a reward. They're okay with waiting for a bigger payoff in the future as opposed to a smaller payoff now. They are willing to develop the people around them as they're accomplishing the task. They can see the bigger picture. They're goal focused, just like the old model. They're goal focused. But these individuals, they are, I call these the inspired leader. Inspire has to do with the word inspiration. Inspiration. This is something that comes from within. This is something that only God gives an individual. God inspires. See, this is rooted in your values, what you believe. So the external motivators aren't really going to drive you that much. Yeah, it's okay to make money. Yeah, it's okay to have these things. But really, you're out to do something because it means something to you. These inspired leaders are the ones that literally change the world. You know what radio station they listen to? They listen to WIIFW. They listen to What's in It for We, because it's not about them. The leadership studies as they develop, this leader would be called the servant leader. This was made popular by Robert Greenleaf back in the 70s, and he introduced this concept of the servant leader who was all about developing those around them. This leader was all about, they'll accomplish the goals, but they're all about seeing to it that everybody's needs are met, and that's what endeared individuals to this particular leader. Another leadership style that's very close to that is the transformational leader. A lot of you may relate to this. The transformational leader is almost like there's a part that's servant, but there's also a part that's for them. And one of the key things that the transformational leader uses to influence others is their personal charisma. You know, people who they have it. You can't define it, but you know when someone has it, and you know when someone doesn't have it. You know when you lost it, and some of us are still trying to find it. But see, when it comes to these particular types of leaders, I believe that we can all find ourselves on those spectrums. Maybe you're a servant leader, and you're trying to build those people around you, and you want to see them succeed, and you're willing to wait, but you know one day your payday's coming, but you're willing to pour into them. Or you're that transformational leader. You want to change the organization, and you want to use your personal charisma. Some of the dangers of the transformational leader, however, is that the transformational leader, because they're using charisma, the organizations are usually built around them. So when that person is no longer there, the organization goes down because they're not there. They built it around them. So I believe that God wants us to use a part of our transformational leader skills. He wants us to use our servant leader skills. Many of us are in ministry, or some of you are in ministry, and you're out serving people. There's got to be a balance. There's got to be the balance, because ultimately, in the end, we want to lift up Jesus, right? That's what we're about. So these particular streams of leadership theories are flowing all throughout organizations. They're being taught. You can go to a seminar and you can see all these things. And at the end of the day, really it's about motivation. But I want to challenge you to not just be a motivated leader, but to be an inspired leader. I want to challenge you to say, God, what is it that is in me that you've called me to give to the nations? And once you know that, once you know what God has called you to do, now that drive, that internal drive will come. And you don't need to be motivated. You'll just wake up at 5 o'clock every day because you have a purpose. Dr. Miles Monroe, the late Dr. Miles Monroe, used to say this: when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abnormal use is always going to be the outcome. So what you and I have to do is to find our purpose. You have to find our purpose. I look at it this way. There are 3 days that are most important days in anybody's life. The first day is the day you were born. Because you're born, you're now on the scene. Now, hey, life has to happen. The second most important day, and some people may say this is the first one, is the day you were born again. And as a believer, as a preacher, I believe this is probably the most important day, because this is your day to enter into eternity. So you're living here on this life, but this life, once it's over, you're really going to start living. But there's another day that all of us really, while we're here on earth, we need to strive to achieve, and that is to discover why we were born, discover our purpose. Because when we don't know our purpose, we're going to abuse ourselves. When we don't know our purpose, we're going to waste our time. When we don't know our purpose, we're going to waste other people's time. So you and I we don't have the luxury of wasting other people's time. So what is the solution, Pastor Jonathan? What do I do? You know, I want to be inspired. I want to be motivated. It's almost like there's a place that I want to get to, but it's far outside of my reach, and I need some help. Well, that's why I wrote this book, because many of us are stuck right there. We're saying, how do I get from where I am to where I want to be? Whether it's to make more money, whether it's to start a business, whether it's to write a book, whether it's to get married, whether it's to lose weight, whether it's to get your emotions together, whatever it is. Maybe it's to rekindle relationships with your family members. Maybe it's to travel around the world, even in COVID. Yeah, I mean, I've traveled around the world in COVID. Thank God he protected us. But I'm telling you, you can do all of that. But here's how you're going to do it, and here is your strategy. And I call this the 7 people that everybody needs in their life. The first person you need in your life is a coach. You need a coach. Yes, life coach. That industry is huge. A life coach is someone who instructs you or trains you how to get better. They help push you beyond where you would normally go. Because, see, again, we can't lead ourselves by ourselves. We're going to always go the path of least resistance. That's what we do. That's the human nature. But someone outside of you can help push you. We need a coach. That's the first person that everybody needs in their life. The second person that everybody needs is a counselor. Yes, mental health is a huge, huge issue in our society. Mental health is one of those, it's one of those things that's really ripping families apart. It's causing people to commit horrendous and atrocious acts. Mental health is pushing people who were otherwise normal, is pushing them to the brink. And I can understand it. During the pandemic, we've had more cases of mental health issues because we as individuals weren't meant to be isolated. You weren't meant to take your problems and stuff them. You weren't meant to take your problems and just push them down. No. You were meant to have a way to release it. And some people, you know what they do? They get addicted to food, because food is that, you've heard the term comfort food, because it's their way of coping and dealing with stress. Some people act out in unhealthy ways. Some people, they may become more promiscuous. Why? Because they don't feel good about themselves, or they're looking for love, or they're looking for something that they didn't get. Or you got people who now use this retail therapy. I know some of y'all are like, hold up, leave that retail therapy alone. I love that one. But I'm telling you, sometimes people use money to placate how they're feeling. So don't do all of that. Go see a counselor. A counselor is someone who's trained to give you guidance on emotional issues, social and psychological. And sometimes when you go to a counselor, that counselor may say, you need to see someone else. You may need to see someone else. So there's a difference between a coach and a counselor. See, here's the way I look at it. If you can get out of bed and you can make things happen, then you probably need a coach to help you make more things happen. But if you cannot get out of bed, or Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are a challenge for you, you probably need to see a counselor. Now, the third person that everybody needs in their life, this is a good one here. Everybody needs a critic. Well, what do you mean everybody needs a critic? Yes, everybody needs a critic. A critic is someone who points out those things in your life that could be better, but sometimes, we slack. See, remember, you can't lead yourself by yourself. You're going to go the path of least resistance, and so you're going to cut corners. I mean, look, maybe it's confession time for me, but there are times where I cut corners. But those people who are critical, they are looking at me, and maybe they come from a critical nature. Maybe their favorite pastime or their favorite thing to do is to point out your flaws, and their favorite drink is haterade. They sit around drinking haterade all day, just waiting for you to show up. And here you are. You might be moving. You might be making some things happen, and here comes that critic. Here's what I've learned. There's a little bit of truth in everybody's criticism. Just a little bit. Now, it may be a minuscule amount. My parents used to say, eat the meat, spit out the bones. But that critic is someone who judges the merits of your actions or accomplishments. But here's the thing. Secretly, they may be kind of dogging you out, but secretly, they're giving you pointers on how you can get better. So, if you got critics, you might want to listen to some of them. Don't read all their mail, but sometimes those critics, that they offer that resistance that all of us, we need. All right, the next person here, this is the fourth person, is everybody needs a challenger. A challenger. See, that challenger is the person that you're looking at. No, sometimes, you might not be trying to compete with them, but you're at least looking at what they're doing, and you're just like, man, oh, they got that? Oh, I can get that too. You know what that challenger does? That challenger makes you get up a little extra early. That challenger makes you work a little bit harder. That challenger says, look, I'm doing this thing, and they sometimes can motivate you. You need somebody that, you kind of, they looking at you in their rearview mirror, or you looking at their, the back of whatever they're doing, the back of their head, back of their car, back of their house, whatever it is. You look at the back of them, and you're like, man, if they can do it, I can do it. Everybody needs a challenger. A challenger is someone who engages in a contest or is against you or is your rival. Now, this challenger may never know who they are in your life, and I would suggest you keep it that way. Of the four that I've mentioned already, the critic and the challenger are the two that they may not even know that that's who they are in your life. Maybe you just label them. Maybe you note them on your phone when they call. Oh, this is my critic. So I'm saying, some of these people, you don't have to let them know who they are, but you need them in your life. Now, fifth person. Now, this is a very important one. Everybody needs a confidant. A confidant is someone that you can share your deep, dark secrets with, and at the end of the day, they'll love you the same. You may tell them, child, I did this and thus and so, and they may say, you did? Wow. All right, cool. So we're going to see that new Aretha Franklin movie tomorrow night? All right, let's go do it. Your friends and this confidant is someone who you can share your secrets with. See, some of you are carrying stuff that's so heavy, that's weighing you down so much. You've been going to prayer lines. You've been asking people to pray for you. You're getting hands laid on. You're not just getting oil poured on you. Some of y'all are actually drinking the oil. But I'm telling you, there are some things that won't come out by prayer. They won't come out by fasting. They'll come out by confession. Some of you need to reach out to somebody and find somebody that you really trust. Find somebody that you know that they can hold your confidence, that they can keep what you give them, that they're mature enough, and just tell them, get that stuff off your chest. I believe when you find a confidant, somebody that's really for you, I think when you share with them, they're going to be able to help you get better physically. They may help you be able to lose some weight because you've been carrying all this stuff for the longest time. But it's time for you and me to find somebody we can talk to and really go deep. That confidant is that person with whom you share your deepest and your darkest secrets. You need a confidant. The next person that everybody needs is a champion. What is a champion? A champion is somebody who speaks up on your behalf. It's a person when you're not in the room and your name comes up, they're like, put some respect on that name. That's the person that you are looking. Actually, they don't even, they do this just because they love you. But this champion is the person that speaks up when you're not there. Everybody needs a champion. Everybody needs somebody that's going to fight for them. That's going to defend their name. It's going to defend their honor. That's going to say, hey, no, don't you talk about that one because I know this one. See, everybody needs a champion. They fight on your behalf. They'll go to battle for you, and you may not even be in the room. Isn't that good? Now, the last one that everybody needs is clergy. The clergy is someone who is trained to speak to God on your behalf, but they also encourage you to do the same. You need spiritual guidance. You need someone in your life who can pray and can help connect you to God. Maybe that's you for someone else. But pastor, you need a pastor. Leader, you need a leader. You need somebody that's speaking on your behalf to God. And you need somebody that's reminding you, hey, did you pray today? You know what, look, I get it. You want to be empowered. We want to change the world. But I'm telling you, you cannot change the world if you can't change yourself. You can't change the world if you can't manage what God has given you. God has given you a family. God has given you relationships. Let's learn to master those. But you know how we master those? We master those by leading ourselves. Because the reality is, you can't lead yourself. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead others. You wouldn't be qualified. But God gives you all these people. He gives you the coach. He gives you the counselor. He gives you the critic. He gives you the challenger. He gives you the confidant. He gives you the champion. And he gives you the clergy. Now, I know we're running into this world is coming into a unique place where people are like, well, I'm not a Christian anymore. I'm just spiritual. Be careful. I know Christians were what they called those followers of Christ. It was a term of ridicule, not really a term of endearment. I understand, but I'm telling you what, you need Jesus. None of this stuff matters. You can have all the money in the world. The Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul? So while we're chasing up this corporate ladder or chasing up this socioeconomic ladder, and in this age of social media, you know, the glitz and the glam is look at me. Listen, you better realize one thing, that it's all about Jesus. It's never changed. It's always been about him. And if God, by his grace, allows you to have a little measure of success, a little bit of influence, I'm telling you what, instead of being an idol, you need to be an icon. You know the difference between an idol and an icon? An idol is someone that people worship. An icon is someone that uses their influence to point them to somebody else. So be an icon and not an idol. Be a person that leads others to Christ through your success. Lead others to Christ through your training and your development. That's what it is that we're called to do. Listen, I've enjoyed being with you. I hope this has blessed you. I hope it's been impactful for you. I want to encourage you to get this book. Reach out to me, jonathanleaf.com, and I want to reach out to you and get this book in your hand. I believe it'll bless you. It'll bless those in your organization. It'll bless your church, your family. Everybody get it. And if you need somebody to come and encourage you via Zoom, let me know. I'll come and I'll share as well. But I just want to say thank you for listening. And Reverend Nikki Brown, thank you for putting on this conference. This is phenomenal. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, or you can go to jonathanleaf.com. Hey, I have enjoyed myself in this wonderful time with you. God bless you.